Welcome back to Singletree Nation. It's your man, Charlie.
And I'm Marissa.
We are back. We are going to dive into, if you watched our last episode, we're going to dive into some of the how to build catering.
Yes.
Been fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. You have to really kind of get pretty granular with a lot of this stuff and take it one step at a time.
Yeah, and I think the reason why one you wanted to create this for for your team, but it's content, and also I think that when you're a small business owner, there's no handbook. How do you build this? How do you you can learn from others, but without doing it yourself, why not document it at the same time?
For sure.
But also, anyone else coming in after the fact can learn about it and kind of save you some time a little bit. I think
multi-pronged one to kind of have an area for whether it's somebody joining our team to become a part of the catering team, to be able to go through and watch all of these videos and listen to what we've done to how to grow it.
Yeah.
And then two, for just the general public, somebody who's thinking about starting a catering company that wants to come in and do it. We are not experts.
Yeah.
We learn as we go as well, but this is what we've done, and it seems to be working so far. So, we'll continue to go down that road, and we learn new things every day. So, this may be outdated one day, and we have to redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's what business is about, is learning and growing and trying to make a better experience for your guest.
Exactly. So let's start off. Why do you feel like you needed to start a catering team and or department?
So I was telling somebody this yesterday, actually. When it was just me on the food truck, I felt like I had all the catering business I could possibly do and then some. And I probably should have hired 15 people to come help me. Not that many, but you get the point. And in the restaurant, I felt like the same thing. Now we have all of the restaurant and the food truck and the catering to all handle. So I wanted to build a platform to honestly, selfishly make it easier for me and then make it easier for our guests, because it was very difficult for me to, we got it done, but it was difficult for me to get the order, take the order, send a quote, get a quote, put it all together. We didn't really even have a menu. We had a section on our menu that just was bulk items. There wasn't really anywhere on the website.
Yeah.
So needed to put all of that together.
Yeah. And I think that, one of the things for, being a customer is a lot of people won't call you or won't, check, they're going to be like, oh, they're going to look for options. But if they can't get the information they want right away.
We had a button on our website that pretty much was a contact us button.
Yeah.
And we would get inquiries about catering through that website. And I would have more questions about their catering than I would have if they would have picked up the phone and called me.
Right.
Because it was just very generic and there was no questions to ask to try to get any details, any data to figure out what to give them. So, we've done some things which we'll go into.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think another thing is, you have to keep that same level of hospitality, and you can't do that if you're constantly trying to be on the phone or not having a team to support you and not understanding the flow. So
I say all the time that technology is making a very large impact in our industry. How we use that technology is what's important. And to be able to take some of the things that we have now and put them in place is going to help us continue on our mission of having undeniable hospitality.
Right. So going backwards a little bit, can you elaborate a little bit on how you, like someone coming in and teaching them the flow? Like this is something you can't learn by just watching a video. You have
Right.
to kind of like shadow you.
Yeah. How we speak,
Mm-hmm.
the language that we use, is very important to the catering side. You're catering to this person's every needs of barbecue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just you kind of have to think about what they're saying and what they're doing. They may ask you, "Hey, I'm going to feed 10 people, and I want 3 different meats." Okay, well, 10 people, you're looking at about 4 pounds of meat would feed 10 people. Well, if you get 3 different meats, well, most of those people aren't going to get to eat most of those meats, right? Because you're going to get a pound and a pound and a quarter, pound and a half of each meat. Well, that's 2-3 people worth of meat. So, and then that's gone.
Right.
And then the person that wanted the brisket is now stuck with turkey, and they don't like turkey.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's learning how to go through that has to be a hands-on thing, right? You have to sit there with me, or now Ryan, and be able to go through and listen to the conversation and answer the questions that they don't even know they have yet. It's one of the things that we've been teaching Ryan is, if you call me and you have a catering order and you want pulled pork for 9 people, well, that's 3 pounds of meat you need. That'll feed 9 people. We'll be good. All right. Well, now if you change your mind and you're like, I want pulled pork and brisket, well, you have to put more meat in there, because if you have more than one selection of meat, you have to have a larger total, so everybody can have a little bit of both.
Right.
So learning those little idiosyncrasies like that are crucial to making the order what it is, right?
And you can't learn it from a book, reading a book.
No.
Yeah, it's like being on site and
just having those conversations.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. Everybody talks differently. Some people know exactly what they want, and some people have no idea. They just know that they want barbecue, and they want you to do it. So
buns or no buns, like
yeah, I have one guest that orders for me on a regular basis, and she calls and she literally says, "Hey, this is the amount of people I got. I need it here on this day."
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I got you.
Yeah.
And then I'll send her a quote with everything built out, and that's what it is. It's not. She doesn't tell me what she doesn't. She doesn't tell me she wants pork or ribs or chicken or brisket or whatever. Yeah. She just build it out for me.
You're trying, yeah.
So, she's kind of trained me to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you're the expert in that. You can't always just say. Can't be an order taker. You have to be
right.
Caterer, or
you have to
cater
understand
to
them,
their
right?
needs.
Like, she's a guest of ours that has had multiple orders from us, and I know that she's not really going to do turkey and salads, and she's not going to do those things.
Yeah.
She's not going to do green beans. She wants mac and cheese. She wants beans. She wants coleslaw every time.
Right.
Period. Doesn't matter how many people it is, you're getting those 3 sides.
Right.
Right. So, but knowing those and, is just having the conversations and learning the people.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right? You got to do that in person.
So we obviously, anyone who is learning about catering, you have to understand the flow. But, once you kind of understand the flow and you're learning a little bit about the business, the menu is something that we need to create.
Yeah. So one of the things I did when we started Singletree was I got on this kick about being like the most customizable catering service out there.
Serve to many.
Yeah, I can do it all.
Yeah.
And I can do a lot of different genres of catering. And I did that because I did something that was totally off menu for a guest. Probably 3 or 4 months into us being open. And they loved it and just raved about it. And I was like, yeah, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So
Guy Fieri,
we're
come
not
here.
gonna, yeah, we're not gonna have a menu. Why am I gonna limit myself to a menu?
Yeah.
And over the years, I have realized that you have to have a menu, because it just makes more work for you. A lot of your catering, especially if you're a barbecue restaurant, want barbecue.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? They don't necessarily want salmon.
Right.
So we can do it,
Mm-hmm.
but just because we do it doesn't mean it has to be on the menu.
Right.
We've done prime rib. Doesn't mean we have to be on the menu.
Right.
So putting a menu together has simplified and made the guest experience that much better, to where they can have a standardized menu of, hey, here it is. And then if you want to get creative and you want to go crazy, sure, we can do lobster tails and ribeyes and, salmon and whatever else you want to do. But we can also do what we do best, which is our pulled pork and our brisket and chicken and ribs and all of those things, right?
Yeah.
So having that standardized menu makes it easier for the guest to look at, go, boom, okay, here, I need this, this, and this. We have now put together some standardized packages, so you can take those packages and know you don't even have to call, because those packages will be on the website. You can see them. There it is. Here you go. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
makes it 1,000 times easier.
And you have to have it in, like you said, the website, but you also have to have hard copy for the shop.
You got to have a hard copy. It's got to be in the restaurant so people can see it. You got to. It's got to be digital. It got to be hard copy. You got to be on the website. You got to promote it. You got to show everybody. I think you got to have some integrations with your POS systems. The more stuff you have, the more access people can get to it, the easier it is for the guests to order.
Right. Accessibility for sure. And also, I mean, you create a new menu. It's kind of like, oh, that's kind of fun, and you get to kind of conceptualize, but you're also forecasting for food prices, right? Because you don't know. I mean, obviously inflation, how things change, like you have to.
So I believe that every year you have to evaluate where you are. We are not the cheapest barbecue around, nor do I care to be. I'm very proud of what we do, but it's very expensive for me to do it. So the problem with some of the things that I sell is that they're very high quality meats, right? So
it's not a problem.
it's not a problem from a taste standpoint.
Right.
So, but I have to be very careful about pricing, because I'm not trying to, I want to have a value in everything that I serve and everything that I sell. So in doing that, I'm projecting out for the year what are prices going to do this year. So it's a lot of analytics, it's a lot of reporting, it's a lot of looking at past history, at farmers' almanacs, whatever it is, to kind of see how the year's going to go, to kind of get an idea of where pricing is going to land for the year, what I'm going to average out to. And sometimes you have to take a price increase, right? Sometimes you don't. But with the way our inflation has gone over the last couple of years, we haven't taken a price increase on anything in year and a half, almost 2 years now. When we opened the brick and mortar, I didn't raise my prices, and I took a much larger overhead. So there's things that you have to look at and make sure that it's profitable for you as well.
Right.
So we've done all of that. We've looked at the menu. We've set all of our pricing. Now we're getting in the right direction.
Yes. So you have the hard copy. You update your website, your POS system, and let's say you have like so many customers. How do you manage that? I mean, we talked a little bit about having a catering system, some type of tool, technology.
So there's a couple of different things you can do. One, whoever is responsible for the orders has to be extremely organized. If they're not, you can lose something really quickly. So I like to have a spreadsheet of hey, this person's contacted us, this person's been called, this person still needs to be called, this person's booked, etc.
Right.
And then you review that. That person should review that every day.
Right.
Because if you get an inquiry of, hey, I want to place a catering order, well, that person needs to be contacted within 24 hours.
Right.
Immediately is best, right? Because in this world, there's tons of people that are doing the same thing that we're doing. So the faster you can get to them and deliver on our undeniable hospitality, then the more likely you are that they're going to work with you. So you have to get to them as fast as possible, no later than 24 hours. Past that, there's an issue.
Yeah.
But keeping track of it, I think there's programs. We use Toast. So we're going to integrate the Toast catering platform that will help us even more so, having the menu directly linked to the website, to our POS, so you can get on there and order everything you want right there, and you don't even have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
For a convenience factor. But if you need something that's a little more customizable, you can call Ryan.
Yeah.
She can help you out, and we can get a little bit more detail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So investing in these things, because they're obviously not free.
Yeah. There's a cost associated with all of it. So you got to make sure it's worth it, right? You can't run out and spend $100 a month on something that's just going to be a waste of time and money.
Right.
But those tools will help you become better, right? Help you deliver a better guest experience.
Right, exactly. And tell me how effective. I mean, you talked about response time, and how does that tie into like your mission of communication, and how do you train someone for that, of effective communication and delivering?
Some of it you can't train.
Yeah.
Some of it is, I tell people quite often that manners are not something that I can teach an adult. I just can't.
Yeah.
Right? If you can't say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, it's my pleasure, thank you, please, come back and see me.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Have a great day.
All of the things,
Yeah.
right? I can't teach a grown person to do that.
Yeah.
I can suggest, right? I can model the behavior. I can talk to you about it. But if an adult doesn't want to use those things, then they don't want to. They're not going to. So that side's difficult. That side comes into the hiring process and finding the right people. Having the right people in the right seats on the right bus helps you drive that bus.
Right.
So if you don't want to put somebody in charge of catering that's never been in a public facing job, that has never talked to people. Right. Right. That's always been in the back of the house, or always been behind the screen, or whatever it is. They have to have a social skill. Right. So if they have that, teaching them, the urgency is pretty simple. You put a standard in place, right? Right. I tell Ryan that, if you get a catering order that day and you're working, then you call them immediately. Period. Yeah. If you get one overnight, then great, call them the next morning. Right. Right. That's the first thing you do. You make all your phone calls. From there, it's just coaching, right? You do it with them. You tell them about it, you let them do it, then you do it again. Right. Right. And you continue that process until they get it, and they don't need you anymore. And then you can slowly start pulling away. And then when you start pulling away, you got to check in every once in a while and make sure that you're still doing it the way you want them to. Right. Yeah. So it's, it starts with finding the right people. Find the right people that are going to represent you well, that already use the same kind of language. Then the training's pretty simple. Yeah.
And it seems to be, from what I'm seeing, like Ryan's excelling. I haven't been in
the
restaurant for a bit, but that's a good coach too in you.
Well,
We did talk also a little bit about the inquiry form and all the details. I don't know if you want to elaborate on how that helps
Yeah.
you plan a successful event or
Yeah, we kind
order.
of touched on it a little bit. So I think the inquiry form is very important. I didn't realize how important it was until we started working on this.
Right.
Because I thought, okay, well, if you gave me your name, your number, your
Yeah.
an idea, how many people it's going to be.
Some
And
people
then-
don't leave that information
Right.
in the message.
Right.
They just say, call me about an order.
Just call me. I want to place an order. One of my favorites was about a year ago, and it was, I need a catering order for tomorrow at 5 p.m. for 50 people. And I called, and immediately called, and they didn't answer. So I sent an email. And I said, I would love to help you. No problem. We can probably make that happen, but I need some more details. Did you want pork, brisket, chicken, mac and cheese, beans? Like, we just need a little bit, get more information. And literally that was my email. And I got a response back with, yes, that sounds great. So I immediately called them back again. This time they answered.
Yeah.
We got it all worked out, and made it simple. But the point is the inquiry form was very basic and caused a whole bunch of problems that we didn't necessarily not problems, but extra work.
Right.
That for me I didn't care about, but I know it was frustrating for the guest, right? Because they were like, I told you what I wanted.
You're the expert.
You're
should
the expert.
know, right?
You should know. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So streamlining that out to get the important questions out of the way now allows us to put together a preliminary quote before we even call you.
Right.
So I can have, okay, hey, you got 50 people. You want pulled pork. You want brisket. You want beans and mac and Oreo pudding. Great. We can put all that together and have an idea of, okay, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. Here you go.
Yeah.
So it makes the process and the hospitality that much better.
Right. And I feel like it's the sweet spot of details you need where they're not getting overwhelmed by the questions that are being asked.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've seen forms where they're like, takes 10 minutes to
3 pages.
And you're like, nope, I'm not going to, I'm too.
Sorry, next.
Yeah.
Next.
Right. I'll call someone
We'll
else.
call
So,
somebody else. Yeah.
What works for you doesn't always work for other people, but you have to find that sweet spot that works for you. And kind of duplicating your knowledge in your head of knowing that. So
now and after that as well, which we'll elaborate into more. But after that is extremely important too.
Yes.
Which we'll get into in our next show.
Yes. Well, yeah. So the next one we're going to talk a little bit about once you get all the information about catering and the menu down, got a little bit of training. Now you have to actually get the sales. Okay. So that'll be next.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining us today for this episode of Singletree Nation. As always, I appreciate you. Charlie Eblin. You can find me at singletreebbq.com. You can email me at charlie@singletreebbq.com. 615-307-0120. All my socials are at Singletree BBQ. We would love to help you in any way. If you want to be a part of our mission and help build community, reach out. Let us know what we can do for you. See you next time.